Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex topics into clear, visual stories. All right, before we jump in, just a quick heads up. This is all for educational purposes, okay? Think of this as us translating their big annual report into something a bit more digestible. We're definitely not giving out any financial advice here. So today, we are going right behind that iconic three-pointed star. We're going to dig into the financial performance of Mercedes-Benz for 2025, straight from their annual report. It looks like it was a pretty tough year for them, so we're going to see how this legendary brand handled it, and more importantly, what the numbers tell us about where they're heading. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with just how big Mercedes-Benz is, then jump into their 2025 financial scorecard. From there, we'll decode their cash flow, see how they're betting on the future, and finally, take a peek at the road ahead. So first things first, before we even think about spreadsheets and balance sheets, we've got to talk about scale. You really need to grasp just how enormous this whole operation is to make sense of the numbers that follow.
I mean, think about it. This isn't some startup. We're talking about a brand that's been shaping the way we move for nearly 140 years. They've been a leader in mobility ever since the very first car patent way back in 1886.
And that legacy, it's kept alive by a huge global team. Get this, over 164,000 employees worldwide. That's a massive number of people, from the engineers in Germany to the sales folks you meet at the dealership. So what does a team that big actually accomplish? Well, in 2025 alone, they put over 1.8 million new cars on the road. Just try to picture that. It's an incredible scale. Okay, now that we have a sense of the size, let's see what that means for the bottom line. All right, time for the main event. The financials. Let's dig into the core numbers and see how Mercedes did in what they themselves called a challenging and volatile market. These are the big headline figures. And here we go, the big one. Total group revenue for 2025 came in at a whopping 132.2 billion euros. That's just a mind-boggling amount of money coming in the door from everything they sell. But here's where it gets really interesting. Yeah, 132 billion is a huge number. But it's actually down from the year before when they brought in over 145 billion. So what gives? Well, it points to that tough, competitive environment they mentioned. The whole car market is just in a massive state of flux right now. But, revenue is just what comes in. It's not what you keep. After you factor in all the costs of actually building and selling all those cars, their core profit, what's called EBIT, landed at 5.8 billion euros. So, what exactly is EBIT? It stands for earnings before interest and taxes. The easiest way to think about it is, it's the profit a company makes just from its main business. Building and selling cars. It's a really clean way to see how profitable the core operation is before you worry about things like debt payments or taxes. Okay, now let's talk about a number that investors absolutely obsess over: cash flow. This is super important because it's not just profit on paper. It's the actual real cash that the business is generating. It's basically the lifeblood of the company. So for 2025, Mercedes-Benz generated 5.4 billion euros in what's called free cash flow from their main industrial business. That's the cash that comes directly from making and selling their cars and vans. And why does this matter so much? Because free cash flow is the ultimate sign of a company's health. It's the cash they have left over after paying all the bills and expenses. This is the money they can use to pay down debt, give back to shareholders, and, this is the big one, invest in what's next. It's literally the fuel for all their future plans. Which brings us to the next logical question. Where is all that cash going? And this is where things get really fascinating, because their spending tells us everything about their strategy and their biggest bets for the future. Yeah, you can learn a lot from a press release, but if you really want to know what a company's priorities are, just follow the money. Their spending habits tell the real story. And check this out. Just for the cars division, they spent 4.1 billion euros on tangible stuff. Factories, machinery, the things you can touch. But look at this. They spent more than double that, a staggering 8.6 billion euros on R&D, research and development. That right there tells you everything you need to know. This is not just about making better engines anymore. The big money is flowing into future tech, new EV platforms, their very own operating system called MB.OS, AI in the car, and automated driving. They're making a massive bet that the future isn't just about building cars, it's about becoming a genuine technology company. So okay, they had a tough 2025, but they're pouring billions into technology. What do they think is going to happen next? Let's take a look at their own forecast for the road ahead. All right, here's their outlook for 2026. They expect revenue to be pretty much the same as 2025, but, and this is the important part, they're forecasting a significant jump in profit. Interestingly, they also expect free cash flow to dip just a little bit, which probably means they plan to keep that fire hose of investment aimed squarely at the future.
And even with all the market turbulence, the leadership is not backing down from their core promise. You see this quote from the chairman. It's crystal clear. The whole strategy is to use all this futuristic tech to cement their place as the builder of the world's most desirable cars.
And that really is the multi-billion-euro question, isn't it? They're facing this massive shift to electric, fierce new competition, and just a lot of uncertainty in the world. So will all these huge bets on software and new tech be enough to keep that claim true? The answer to that is probably going to shape the entire car industry for years to come.
Hey, thanks for tuning into this explainer. If you enjoy digging into the stories that the numbers tell, do us a favor and hit like and subscribe for more.